this one, this is a very interesting one. So now we're into 1974. And this one is Gran Trak 10. It was one of the very first, I believe it may actually be the very first top-down racing simulator. Let me see. I'm going to double check that I'm correct on that. I may be wrong. I know that it did. It was considered the first arcade racing video game, even though technically Space Race came before it. But that was not strictly speaking a racing game. It was more of a dodging obstacles. So I guess you could have a little bit of leeway with your pitch there. It was released in May of 1974. The track was made of just a series of dots, which you'll see here in a second. It was designed by Larry Emmons, probably not getting his name right, but I mean his last name at least. He was a former NASA engineer, and he did this as a kind of a fun little project. Let's see what else, if there's anything specific that jumps out. Let's go ahead and get a play in. Again, this is not in its original format. It's a very close to accurate recreation of the game. Unfortunately, I have not found a way on the first playthrough I did on it to actually restart once you have lost. But I'm sure you can hear the audio here. And, so basically, you have your controls right below it. It's very straightforward. You are just avoiding the. I was actually already started. Here, and you just accelerate up. So there we go. So I did at least complete one lap. Now, the one major impact that this game had was it seemed to have a significant improvement on the intricacy of its controls. I mean, you had a fairly responsive left and right turn, and a pretty responsive acceleration and reverse. So this was fairly impactful for its innovations with the controls, which up to this point had been fairly rudimentary in most cases. There were some exceptions, but it was fairly rudimentary up to this point. And this is obviously still, by today's standards, rudimentary. But in 1974, this was nothing short of mind-blowing to a lot of people. It was also nice that this game was one of only a handful of Atari arcade games that were actually single-player. The majority of arcade games up to this point had been multiplayer, which, if you're playing by yourself, obviously is fairly limiting to your capacity to play. Engineering problems actually almost killed the development of this game. The first runs of machines had some pretty significant hardware issues, which caused delays and financial setbacks and whatnot. Atari underestimated how hard it would be to manufacture the complex controls, which, tying back into the previous comment, does kind of make sense with how innovative it was. So Atari did develop the game, but Larry Emmons was the person who actually designed it. Let's see if there's anything else about this one in particular that jumps out. The games did feature hardwired ROM-based graphics, which was a big step up at the time. So again, very innovative on both controls and graphics. I know obviously the graphics don't look that impressive to us, but it's when you compare it to something like Pong just 2 years earlier, it is actually quite impressive by contrast. So I'm going to go ahead and play one more time just to see if I can get a better time or maybe take one of the shortcuts. So here we go. And then we'll move on to 1975. I have never ever claimed to be a racing gamer. It's never been my forte. I don't know that I've ever. Much better that time actually at all, but I got stuck. I might have actually been able to complete the second lap. I messed that up. But it did. So, ain't happening. Yep, there we go. Alright, well that wraps up 1974. Now, 1975. That was kind of an odd one. Because 1975, I honestly just could not find a way to play any of the games from 1975 that jumped out at me. Every single one of them, I just got shut down left and right. So I am unfortunately having to skip 1975.